is something that's more or less like handwriting, and it's not the law and somebody's trying to insert it. And whether it's formal or informal, you want to see it. Who wrote it? It's going to tell you who's trying to give you the trouble right up front, who's doing it to you. And just explain to them that the reason is I bring this request for information that may or may not exist is for a purpose of clarification of the rights and obligations between the Parks Department and the public. You're standing and trying to find out why you're against the group of one particular group. If you close the whole park to everybody, you just close the metal detecting. If you close the metal detecting, you're interested in why you picked metal detecting in this group, why you decided to close this. And so you need it for clarification exactly why they selected you, your hobby. Also, this request raises potential inconsistent applications of the Parks Department and the law enforcement. Are y'all stepping out of the law here? I mean, you know, if it's not in print, how can you get away with it? You know, if it's not law, what are you doing chasing this off? That was actually created, those questions were created by the Public Lands for the People. And it's real good questions asking, and it works in just most any application that you run into if the codes are banned your hobby. To make it short in closing, all of us must now start to educate our government and public through advertising. We have to get it out there, put it in writing. Get it where you can put that writing that you put it in the portfolio. We need to do it through our portfolios, community service, and support the law enforcement. And then remember the important phrases that I told you before, the public use areas, the designated areas, allowing the hobby to exist, and divots instead of holes, or holes instead of, back and forth, divots instead of metal detectors instead of treasure hunters. We cannot control the actions of other people. We should not be responsible or held responsible for, as a whole, for one individual. It's the same thing as somebody going out and shooting somebody at the end of your block, and everybody on the block must be arrested for it, for murder. So we can't be responsible for that, but we can police people. We see people hunting in our area, destroying parks, go out there and stop them. Ask them to stop. If not, call the damn law on them. I mean, you either love the hobby or you don't. If you're not willing to call the police to get them out there to stop them, well, you don't need to be in the hobby yourself. I try to talk to them. If they're not willing to get smart with me, I just call the law. I'll get somebody out there to stop them. And remember, the government also considers Mr. and Mrs. QT stupid, the public. They think you're dumb, and they'll think they'll pull things on you. I had a guy call me here a while back from Albuquerque, New Mexico, in the Forest Service office. I'm standing in the Forest Service office, and I understood you could prospect for gold in Forest Service land along the creeks and rivers. I said, yes, sir, you can, unless it's a historic site. This guy standing across the counter from me says there's no such thing, never has been, and never will be. I said, well, you're standing in the office, right? Yeah. I said, the brochure's all over the wall. Yeah, the brochure. Well, go to the brochure. It says recreational use of Forest Service lands. Guy helps him find it. Third page, second paragraph. Metal detecting and prospecting and excavating is allowed if you're mineral prospecting anywhere in Forest Service. Hand it to him. Oh, I didn't know that. They were going to have a good laugh after that guy left because they were trying to be buffaloed into believing that that wasn't allowed. As part of their training, they know what's allowed in the forest and what's not allowed, and that's a simple rule that's always been there. Education is the key. We're going to have to educate these people. When you say metal detect, they don't know what that involves. They see you out there with a shovel, a hand tool even, and all they think about is the money they spent to put in the sprinkler system or the lawn. Maybe you need a day where you can just get all the city officials together somewhere to dig a hole for them. Do a video, show them how to cut a plug in the park. And put the plug back. Can you see? where I dug now. You know, we need to refine some of our schools in these city parks, especially on public use lands. Don't waste your efforts and strength to improve the numbers. I can tell you 10 years went by on my life real quick trying to get people interested in this. It's not gonna work. You've been to your club meeting too many times. You've got those that sit back there and wait to see if they win the raffle or not, and those that work in the club. Don't waste your spitting time. Put that effort towards trying to make something good. Yeah, there's gonna be a handful of you. Not everybody's gonna do it. I once had a guy tell me, he said, you know, that's the only hobby I've ever seen. It looks like a bunch of chickens in a 1 acre patch just scattered all going in different directions. He described this perfectly. Trying to get united in this hobby is just about throwing in the wind, you know. Get permission. Oh, please get permission. If they turn you down, go down the road, try getting permission somewhere else. You know, it's not the death of you. You can always come back 10 years and see if somebody else owns it or the old crone died and get permission. But, you know, don't give up on it. Just try to go get permission somewhere else. Also, have a school. You really need to have a school for your own club's benefit on digging techniques. Have everybody go out in the park one day and say, we're going to give you some digging techniques right in front of you, and then we want you to do the same thing. We're going to walk and look at it and see how you do it. And this is mostly for what it should become just habit. But this is mostly for public lands. Because one thing we don't need is help to be in trouble with anybody else. We've got enough problems right here. I read you on the list to do me for a while in WWATS. I don't need no more headaches. So at least learn how to dig in your club. I don't think there's too many clubs in here that can testify, yeah, we went out and did a school on digging, how you should retrieve your target. Okay? Also, I have some brochure here, or a copy, that I'm going to send around. And this is called Talking Points Against the Bill of Our Hobby. This is probably the most important piece of paper that you're ever going to get. This is telling you about the 38 states that allow metal detecting, the Corps of Engineers, historical sites, designated areas. You all want a copy of this, you want to keep that copy. As a problem comes in your area, I wrote it down on paper how to answer it, okay? Hang on to it, mount it, whatever. Read it to their club, word for word, or make them copies, so they will know how to handle it. Because actually, if we get in trouble, you're responsible for you first. You know, if you get in trouble somewhere, I have people call me all the time, well, I dug a hole about the size of a, 18-wheeler tire, and I don't understand why they got upset. Well, they're responsible for themselves first. Dig a hole like that, I think somebody would get upset in the park. What are you doing digging a hole like that? Well, I thought it was a cannon. Well, what are you doing digging a cannon in the city park? So just use some common sense, teach your clubs, put it in your newsletters again, because your newsletters get around. I, for one, send all your newsletters when I get them to people clear to Maine and all the way down to California. They read about your club doing different things, and maybe we'll start a fire and everybody will get on the bandwagon. Figure it might not be such a bad idea after all. So just do that much. Anyway, before we open to questions, I'm going to tell you one other thing too. We've been doing this a long time, and I've been stepped on, kicked, and by the government and by our own people, and wonder sometimes why I even make the effort. But I've had one policy in all my life, and that's this little world might get me down, but I'm the only one that can make myself stay down. I'm just not going to